see a magic trick? Good. Abracadabra!
Hello people. Out of sheer boredom, I'm gonna decide to rank all the consumables that Dying Light 2 has to offer. And I know there's going to be a couple of DLC exclusive consumables that exist, but I'm mainly going to be talking about the vanilla version of all the consumables. So, unlike the accessories that I ranked, I'm not just going to be showing off some numbers that are like important and whatnot, I'm just simply going to be ranking them by a tier list, ranging from A to F. I'm going to be talking about every single thing, how effective they are, how useful they are, and as well as their cost and, you know, how important they are to upgrade. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm kind of bored already. So, let's talk about the Toughness Booster. The Toughness Booster just simply reduces the amount of damage you take by an overall of 25% on max level. It also makes the staggering effect to be much significantly reduced, meaning that whenever you get staggered, it's going to go away much more quicker. And anytime you take damage that would normally put you on the ground, like a quick stun, it would just simply stagger you. So it's a really good booster that is able to help you on a very long fight. Say you're fighting against a Demolisher, Goon, or a group of Renegades and Volatiles and whatnot, and they have a common trait. They all stagger you very easily. So with the Toughness Booster, it is able to help you a lot. But the good thing is about this is it's very cheap to craft, and as well as you get a large amount when you craft them. Normally by 4 or 3 going from memory, but yeah, it's pretty solid. It is able to help you through certain situations here and there, but it does not make you completely damage-proof. There's only one consumable that allows you to do that, which we will get into later. The overall rating I would give for the Toughness Booster is an S tier. The amount of damage resistance that it is able to give you is a big difference between taking another hit or dying completely. And the reduced staggering effect is extremely good because it allows you to escape certain situations that you normally wouldn't be able to escape. Because keep in mind, when you're still staggered, you're still able to take multiple damage from multiple enemies if you're in that sort of position. So you don't really have to worry about it too much when you're getting staggered. So yeah, it gets an S tier. Next on the list is the Regeneration Booster. Now the Regeneration Booster is self-explanatory. It just simply regenerates your health by a specific percentage depending on the level of it. And you might think, well, why should I use this when I have the Resistance Booster? Well, there's a couple of differences here and there. The Toughness Booster mainly focuses on if you're not confident that your armor is not able to provide enough protection, then using the Toughness Booster is pretty good. But if you're confident enough that your armor provides enough protection, then sticking with the Regeneration Booster will definitely help you because it helps you last much more longer in a long term, essentially. And you might think that if you use the medic outfit's passive skills, then it's going to help out. I didn't really notice anything different. I did make a video on talking about the medic class and that works alongside the Regeneration Booster, and judging from the test that I did, it did not make any sort of difference. So I'm sorry to break your heart, but it does not work whatsoever. Despite costing a little bit extra, it's going on to A tier because it's not exactly perfect because the amount of health regeneration you're healing is not necessarily fast. Although it will help you, but a majority of the time it's not really gonna save you a lot. So yeah, it's going into A tier. Next on the list are the Muscle Booster. The Muscle Booster is just a damage enhancement drug essentially. It just increases your damage overall, and that's pretty much it. You might think that this is not exactly a big deal, but keep in mind that this is really good. You might think that this damage increase is not really particularly that great because the armor in themselves also gives a lot of damage, but it is really good. Sometimes it allows you to one-shot biters, sometimes it allows you to two-shot virals, renegades, or even 5-hit volatiles or 7-hit goons and whatnot. The amount of damage that you're able to dish out is actually extremely good. And if you combine this alongside with two-handed weapons and as well as the tank gear's passive skill, then you're able to literally shred through every single enemy that dares to come in your path, because that extra damage is something that you should not be really fucking around with. And it's cheap to craft and it's amazing. It's another S tier. If you're struggling to deal damage to enemies, or you're struggling to put on modifications for your weapons, getting a Muscle Booster is not exactly a bad idea, as it's able to help you kill out enemies much more quicker. So that's a good thing. Next up on the list is the Endurance Booster, aka the Stamina Increase. This is okay, essentially. It's not that much big of a deal, but there are certain, special weapons that cost a lot of stamina, like from Jay and as well as Harper's weapons that they gave out. For some reason, they take a lot of stamina for some apparent reason, which I'm not really sure why is the case, but, I'm not really going to talking on too much. But if you have a weapon that costs a lot of stamina, then it's okay. It goes into C tier. It's not really great, but it's not also bad either. It can help you from time to time when you normally would run out of stamina without it, but again, it's really not that necessary, but it's solid. Let's talk about the 3 boosters that are focused on elemental effects, that being the toxin, the fire, and as well as the electricity effect. These are all useless except for the toxin effect. Well, sort of. You might think, well, aren't these effective against elemental goons? No, they're completely useless. The amount of damage the goon themselves do is pretty good amount, and that elemental effect that they have is more of like a damage over time effect. It's not going to deal instant damage, essentially. The elemental resistances that they provide is literally nothing. The toxin is only effective against the spitters. I didn't really notice anything different with the volatile spits, and that's pretty much it. It's literally only effective against spitters. Fire, you're not really going to be taking a lot of fire damage to begin with. It's rarely happening. But you might think, well, won't that prevent me from taking too much damage from the Molotov when it's at max level? No, it will still kill you at close range, so do not even bother. And the electricity effect is useless. The only time I can really see it be useful is if you accidentally hit those electrical boxes a lot, or when you want to go through a Peacekeeper fence trap, but again, why would you do that when you can just like run around it? These are all useless, they all go into F tier. Do not even bother using these, honestly, just stay the fuck away from them. The medicine, I'm gonna call it bandage. The bandages are just self-explanatory. They just heal you for a specific amount, and they're good. There's really not much else to say. You can combine these with the medic skill that allows you to heal for much more health. And even at level 1, if you're able to get yourself a full set of a medic gear, you're actually able to heal the same amount as a max level medkit, or bandages, without the medic skills, which is pretty good. It's cheap. I'd say this is your #1 priority to upgrade because of how cheap it is and how easy it is to find honey and as well as the flowers. There's really not much else to say. It's an S tier. There's otherwise not much else to say. The swimming booster. Why does it exist? Seriously, why the fuck does it exist? Here's the thing, if it provides you a bonus movement speed when you're swimming, I can sort of see it on certain situations because there are certain missions and as well as certain activities that require you to go underwater for some periods of time. Then yeah, this would sort of come in handy, but considering the fact that it only increases the amount of time you can stay underwater is completely useless because you have so much stamina to the point where you can literally leave Aiden underwater for like 10 minutes, come back and you'll still be alive and not have any sort of consequences. And when you come out of the underwater, you're able to regenerate all the stamina you lost instantly. It's an F tier. Like, I genuinely forgot that this even remotely existed in the first place. But yeah. Let's talk about the immunity-focused boosters. The UV Shroomz are good. They're solid. There's really not much else to really say about them other than they refill 35 seconds of your immunity timer. But you may think that's not much, but that's enough for you to reach to a specific safe zone or whenever you want to pop a UV bar but you don't really have enough time to do so. But again, the reason these are pretty good is because they're for free. You can find them in pretty much everywhere. Every single sort of these little beehives that you can find, you're always going to be finding UV Shroomz. They're pretty much everywhere. They go into C tier. They're pretty good. They will help you throughout the nighttime a lot. When it comes to the immunity boosters themselves, they're basically the UV Shroomz but better. They will basically refill your entirety of the immunity bar depending on the level, essentially. And it's pretty good. If you're one of those players that struggle to go back to safe zones and as well as, you know, finding UV lights, then I guess this can be good, but it's a B tier. It's not really something you're going to be using a lot because the UV bars themselves already refill your immunity bar without, you know, going to a safe house. So it's not great, but, you know, they're just there in case you need it for a pinch. Or unless you accidentally go into those THV gas areas accidentally, then I guess it can be useful. But other than that, they're not really particularly that amazing. Next on the list are the night vision boosters from Harper. They used to be actually functional. They actually made nighttime be visible, but ever since the Firearms update came out, it completely fucked them up entirely, which I don't know why Techland hasn't even fixed it. And when you try to use it now, it does not do anything besides blur your vision. But back in the earlier days before the Firearms update, it actually made nighttime look like daytime. It was actually pretty good. Even with the darker night effect, you could still see pretty easily. Like, it was actually genuinely pretty good, but because of how fucked up they are right now, I'm gonna have to sadly give it an F tier. But back then, I would definitely give it a B tier. It does help you a lot to see throughout the night, and it's pretty good. It was, I should really say, but because of how fucked up they are, I'm gonna have to sadly give it an F tier. Please, Techland, fix it. The XP booster that you get from Jay is, well, an XP booster, but you only get them through nighttime, and I couldn't really get much footage because I'm already maxed out level, so I can't really give you that much information. But judging by the amount of XP boost that it gives out, I'm 100% confident that it's really good. If you need to level up really fast, then I'd suggest go to J and get the XP booster, and it will definitely help you out. It's a B tier, it's really not much special about it. The Camouflage that you were able to get from the Bloody Ties DLC is actually genuinely one of the best consumables that exist in Dying Light 2, because it is able to literally tell all the infected to go fuck themselves and you practically go invisible. And you might think, well, if I use it in front of them, can't they just like attack me? No, because even if you use it in a room full of volatiles that have already spotted you, they will literally just completely ignore you. However, there is a problem to it. You cannot attack. Any sort of damage that you deal will immediately blow your cover. It will immediately stop your camouflage effect. Kicks, shootings, attacks, like anything that deals damage, you're gonna lose it entirely. But it is extremely good. However, it is a little bit cost efficient because it requires infected trophies, so it can be a little bit tough, but it is extremely good. It is able to help you get out on very tough situations. It's an A tier. The reason it's not S tier is because of the cost efficient, and that's pretty much it. And plus it takes a little bit of time to apply to it, so if it gets staggered, then the animation is just going to get cancelled, so be careful of that one. Next up on the list is the military medkit. The military medkit is literally one of the best things to ever exist in Dying Light 2. It literally heals you from 0 to 100 instantly, but they're very rare to find. They're an S tier, but they're very hard to find. Well, not particularly, but they're sort of rare to find. I can't really give out a proper way to find them much more easily, but once you find them, they're literally just amazing. Being able to heal yourself from 0 to 100 instantly is extremely good, and plus considering the fact that it takes like a second to deploy it, makes it much more better. It's an S tier, but it does take some time to actually find these, so keep that one in mind. Now we're going to be talking about one of the most underrated consumables to ever exist in Dying Light 2, and that a lot of people don't really talk about, and that is the Rage Booster. The Rage Booster is an extremely unique consumable that allows you to get 100% damage resistance and as well as 100% damage increase for 35 seconds, but at the cost of having your vision to be blurred and your initial movement speed to be reduced. What do I mean by initial movement speed reduced is by when you start running or when you start moving, your movement speed is slowed by a short duration, but after that effect is gone, you're able to run but at a much more faster rate. Like your movement speed is doubled. You're able to run fast. You're able to zigzag faster, but the purpose of the Rage Booster is to sort of help you fight whole hordes of enemies that you normally wouldn't be able to survive with the Resistance Booster and as well as the Regeneration Booster, because the amount of damage that is able to dish out with the Rage Booster itself is absolutely intense. However, there are a lot of problems to this Rage Booster. Number one is your vision is very blurry. You also don't get the Toughness Booster's staggering effect reduced. Like any sort of staggering effect you get, you will get the full effect of it. It's not like the Toughness Booster where it reduces the timer of the staggering effect. No. The Rage Booster just makes you eat that up. But it's still incredible. The amount of damage that you're able to dish out is absolutely crazy. You're able to shred goons, demolishers, volatiles 10 times quicker than the muscle booster itself. Like, it's so good. But because it has a shorter duration and as well as, you could get staggered much more easily and your initial movement speed is reduced, it can get a little bit problematic, but it is incredibly good. Like, it's absolutely amazing. And it's very underrated, and I don't see a lot of people really talking about this, so yeah, it gets an S tier because of how cheap it is to grab. But, you know, there are certain situations where the muscle booster and as well as the toughness booster is used. And that's pretty much it. It is really good, but it does have its own problems here and there. So that's up to your personal interpretation on what you want to do with it. But yeah, that is practically all I have to offer. I hope you enjoyed this video. I apologize if this may seem a little bit unorganized and as well as a bit rushed. That's because I am very bored at the moment, and yeah, I don't really have any other excuses other than that. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to go and jump off a building and hopefully do a sick flip. So, goodbye.